what we're doing here today. That's what this announcement is about. We've been working over the last few years to investigate and enter into litigation with vaping e-cigarette companies that may have engaged in marketing or advertising that attracts kids to these new products. And while there's certainly evidence that vaping can be a potentially healthier alternative to cigarettes, the reality is it's very different. These vape sticks are much more accessible. Kids can use them indoors and outdoors. They can easily store them in their pockets and possibly even have them in schools. So it can be dangerous. We're still learning with every day that goes by about the negative health consequences that come from teens that are engaged in vaping, sometimes significantly using vape sticks throughout the day, and the challenges that it has. So today we're here to announce that we've secured a $79 million settlement with the e-cigarette company JUUL. This results from multi-year investigation and the lawsuit that Florida brought to halt the company's past marketing practices. Florida's been looking to end the teen vaping epidemic for many years. Studies have shown that adolescents and teenagers that are using these e-cigarettes can have negative consequences related to their cardiorespiratory function, learning, memory, and executive function. Just a few years ago, a study showed that more than 35% of high school students and more than 16% of middle school students were using vape products. In response to this, our state has engaged in a marketing campaign. I was happy to work on this in the governor's office to better educate Floridians and families on the dangers associated with vaping at a young age. And likewise, the Attorney General's office began investigating companies engaged in these harmful marketing practices, engaged in advertising that can draw kids in to using these devices. Since those investigations launched, JUUL began to reshape their business, reshape their practices. I do want to commend them for that. Everything from their top management to their basic business practices was adjusted to no longer go after kids. And today, this settlement will lock in by court order the practices that they've already put in place. JUUL has agreed not to take any action, directly or indirectly, to target youth within Florida in its advertising. They've agreed to not use models in advertising under 35 years of old. They will no longer have products or logos placed in TV or movies, and they won't apply their logo to apparel that's used in marketing. In short, JUUL's agreed to similar marketing prohibitions like those that have been used in other contexts by companies in tobacco marketing generally. With this large settlement, I'm happy to announce that we're starting the Vape Free Future Fund. This fund will go towards continued enforcement to protect our kids and hold companies accountable that want to market to our children in a way that could be harmful. Since we began in the Attorney General's office these investigations, we have seen the percentage of young people using vape sticks go down. As of 2024, just over 20% of high school students and only about 11% of middle schoolers reported vaping. This is a decrease over several years, but as a dad with little kids, it's still not good enough. So we're going to continue to fight back against this, this harmful advertising and ways to attract our kids. So again, Florida has responded. We've led the way. I thank the legislature here in the state. Last year they passed a bill and the governor signed a bill that would protect our families and our kids from harmful vaping and e-cigarette companies, primarily unregulated companies. You've got a lot of product coming in from China right now, product that contains chemicals and things that harmful pathogens. We don't know what's in a lot of these things, but it's hurting our kids. We need to make sure we're protecting them. Thankfully, the legislature's given us many tools to put harmful products on lists of prohibited products, and we're going to be levying some fines in very short order against companies that are breaking the law by bringing these harmful products into our environment. So today, we take the safety of our children seriously, full stop. We're happy with this settlement. I recognize JUUL for working well with our office. We began this project as, parties on different side of a V in a lawsuit, And today we end as partners that are working together, working to protect our families and our kids. I'd especially like to thank our Chief Deputy Attorney General, John Gard, who was the lead negotiator in this effort and delivered this big win, as well as Assistant Attorney General Patrick Crotty. Thanks to them and everybody in the Office of the Attorney General that worked very hard here, and I know we'll be continuing to work hard as we further our efforts to protect kids. So we got a few people to hear from today. I'll turn it over now to Senator Jay Collins.
Thank you so much. What a great day to be back here in Tampa. It's like I never left. We just got back here. So thank you for sharing your time and being here today. It really means a lot that you're here to share this great news for the state of Florida. You know, when I think about what we do in Tallahassee, I often remember who it is that who I serve, who I represent, but I also take it back to who am I fundamentally. If you've heard me talk, you've heard me say it probably hundreds of times. I'm a retired Green Beret. I get to represent our community, but above all things, I'm a husband and I'm a dad. What we did today and what you heard our amazing Attorney General talk about here is something that's going to make a difference now and into the future. We have no bigger task in life than to protect and preserve those things that we love, our children, their futures, because if we don't, who else is going to do it? There is nobody else coming to rescue them. We have to do that work. You know, when I ran, I focused on economy, education, safety, and security, and we're hitting this right here in that fundamental spot. I want to talk a little bit about a bill that I've got up this year. It's SB 1406. We'll call it the Florida Age Gate Act. You heard Attorney General Uthmeier talk a little bit about it. I'm running this in concert with our own representative, Michael Owen, and then Senator Alexis Calatayud also has an additional bill. Now, I'll tell you, I don't really care whose bill moves forward as long as the language moves. It's not about the right of authorship, it's about what's right, period. So this does a couple of things. It maintains that we can inspect and audit what's going on within a vape shop. It also brings in admin and criminal charges. And the key thing here is if you are a dealer with 20% or more of your gross retail sales, you cannot be within 500 foot of schools. 500 feet of schools, that's direct line from your property line to the school, elementary, middle, or high school. We've got to take this serious. Ultimately, we know the health risks. We know that we want them to grow up and be the best version of themselves. And this is something that I'm looking forward to working through and working on throughout the year. And as we kind of bring this thing into a close, I want to remind people, again, there are no backsies, right? Remember that term from the 80s and 90s? If you're about my age, you can't take it back. Once something's happened, it's too late. Don't let that be your child or your friend's child where something happens. We have to step up. We have to act because it is 100% the right thing to do. Again, thank you for being here, and God bless each of you.
Thank you, Senator. We're very blessed to have Senator Collins fighting for our families in Tallahassee. Alicia Leger, you want to say a few words?
Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Allie Leger, and I'm the National Director for Civic Engagement with Moms for America and also the Director of Operations for the Hollow Alliance. But I do have a few other titles, but there isn't one that is more important than being a mom. Having that title as mom is so important to me. But as a mother, I want my children to be safe under all circumstances, but especially from predatory behavior. Now, as a woman and as women and as mothers, right, we understand predatory actions in many other facets, and marketing initiatives should be no different. Children are the most impressionable, and when companies prey on their innocence, trapping them in a life cycle of addiction, someone must step in and stand in the gap to protect our kids and to push for the return of ethics in marketing addictive products. So I'm so glad to see that our Attorney General here and their office has taken this on, as well as our legislature, right? It is so important that we're all able to work collaboratively together, parents, community partners, businesses, and our elected representatives to lead the way in protecting our children from predatory behavior here in Florida. In order for our children to realize the American dream, they cannot be slaves to big corporations who benefit from their predatory practices of creating lifelong customers. Therefore, shutting down this unethical marketing is critical to the health and wellness of our children, the future of Florida, the future of America. So thank you again for Attorney General James. We appreciate you and everyone that has worked so hard to get all of this passed and your future efforts. with this bill that you're putting forward. So we want to make sure that America, not just America, but Florida, is safe, strong, and free. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Tally, you want to share a little bit?
Good morning. First, I'd like to start off by thanking Attorney General Uthmeier for inviting me to speak this morning. I was able to work as an intern for the Attorney General's office this summer, specifically with their litigation support division. Over the course of the summer, I had a really enjoyable experience with the team, and my main mentor, Lindsay Sherman, was very supportive. I was able to learn several different design programs that I use constantly in my current projects. And in addition to that, I learned how the Attorney General's office has created other initiatives for pressing issues like human trafficking and substance abuse. To approach the creation of this graphic over here, I first did research on marketing techniques used online and physically for smoke shops. When you imagine a sign for one of these stores, I'd be willing to bet that you visualize the words smoke shop in bright neon letters. So that's where my inspiration for the colors came from. This idea of fun or escapism is what vape distributors want you to associate with their products. So I tried to harness this idea with other marketing techniques specifically associated with the youth, which is attacking their emotional appeal, essentially. Instead of promoting the idea that vaping makes you happier or cooler, however, I wanted to create a striking, more morbid graphic to catch your attention, not to sell, but to warn. I personally have seen the rise of vaping among classmates, more specifically throughout my middle school experience, and I believe it's wrong that vape distributors are allowed to blatantly target kids my age and even younger. I appreciate that the Attorney General's office is taking time to address this issue and try to put a stop to the aggressive marketing of vapes to children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was recently in a high school, and today you can kind of see people hiding in corners doing things, and they walk by and they're left with a cloud of mist of some sort. So it's very different than cigarettes. I mean, we're just now starting to learn about what those harms are going to be. And when you're sucking down these products as a kid for hours on end, you're probably killing brain cells. And this is going to have a long-term impact. And I can tell you, we are not going to stand up to our adversary, China, if all of our kids are losing brain cells smoking some of this crap. So we're gonna keep investigating. We'll put an end to it. We thank the companies that want to work together cooperatively with us as we do protect our kids. So we've got a few minutes for a couple questions, if anybody has any.
Attorney General, you mentioned that there are other companies that may be facing fines in Florida. Can you just talk a little bit about how this is maybe just a piece of the puzzle, this resolution that you're coming to?
Yeah, so we're certainly engaged in other investigations. I can't talk about those while they're pending. Under the legislation that was passed last year, the Office of the Attorney General is promulgating lists of prohibited products. What we're seeing is a lot of companies out there, they're adapting and changing their names or tweaking things and colors slightly to try to deviate around the law. So I'm going to be doing a hard dive to crack down on that. I mean, this game of whack-a-mole where you hit one and then another pops up is just going to be inefficient. But we're going to be doing a hard look. I know the legislature's got several vehicles they're currently looking at, and we'll continue to fight it.
And I know you have discussed this previously. This is a little off topic here, but Andrew Tate, can you just talk a little bit about where that stands, where that investigation stands? Is he still in Florida? What's going on with that?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, the Tate brothers are not in Florida right now. The investigation is still ongoing. These guys are charged with pretty horrific offenses around the world. There are victims that have come forward around the world, and we're looking at possible victims and possible conduct that may have taken place on Florida soil. We didn't want these guys to come here. I don't know how they got here, but at the end of the day, if you're here and you're a criminal, if you're going to engage in activities that go after women, that go after our kids, we're gonna come after you. This is not a question about a political persecution. If you go after our kids, we will come after you. That's not political. That's just what it is. I mean, these guys, they've gone public, joking around saying, oh, what is the age of consent in America? 15, 16, 17, oh, we can't remember. That's absurd. That is horrific. And anybody that's going to defend, that practice is on the wrong side of me, that's for sure. If you are soliciting and trafficking minors in our state, you believe in you belong in the dark, cold back of a jail cell. That's a matter of fact. Senator, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I appreciate your question. Obviously, many of us have talked out about this, and the Attorney General did a great job in talking through the specifics of this. But personally, this is about what's right and what's wrong. Here in Florida, we don't back down from the hard conversations. We never have, we never will. When Florida leads, America wins, and I'm happy to stand forward and say this does not meet the right and wrong indicator. So I had a rule growing up in the military. I called the grandma rule. Think back to your mima, your grandma, your abuela. What would she do if she heard them saying these things? Would she whack you upside the back of the head? Would she give you the side eye? If that's a question in your mind, then perhaps what they're espousing isn't the right thing. But to take it a step forward, would you want your children to pick up on what they're saying? Would you want your children to do what they do? If we fail to act, we fail to stand forward and say what's right and wrong, we're failing, period. But we're failing our children. We have to stand strong on things like this. And look, I've heard the conversation. What about freedom of speech? Absolutely, you have a freedom of speech, but you are not free from consequences. That is the fact of the matter. And what they have done and what they have said is reprehensive. It does not meet Florida's standards. It does not meet American ideas, ideals, or principles. And we have to condemn this openly. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. Yeah, look, we respect the rule of law in this state. We're never going to bring any case without evidence to back it up. You have that commitment from me. It seems like they've done some pretty gross things in other countries. I don't have jurisdiction there, but if there's evidence that they committed a crime in Florida, we will pursue that further. I think we got time. I know we got to get him back for a committee hearing today, but maybe one more question. All right, thanks everybody.